Hey, I just got back from lunch. Did you finish that report yet?
Well, not exactly. Still working on it. I'm not finished just yet. I got a little sidetracked, but I will get them to you first thing this afternoon.
It is first thing this afternoon.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but I mean, I am working on
But
it. I'll have,
what do you mean that the report isn't finished yet?
I'm still in the process of working on it. I've just been a little distracted.
Distracted. Our meeting starts in an hour.
I can have it.
No. What were you doing? Were you listening to another hunting podcast again? I swear, I give the staff in this office the freedom to do whatever they want to do as long as they meet a deadline. That is the first bullet underneath your job description. Pays attention to detail and deadline. Dude, are you even listening to me right now?
Hey guys, if you're looking for a quality bow dealership near Newcastle, Pennsylvania, look no farther than Williams Archery down in Edinburgh, PA, just minutes west of the city. They offer Hoyt, PSE, Elite, Bear, and many more brands. Go check out their bow fishing equipment or stop in for hands-on shooting lessons. Give Ron and Linda a call at 724-667-9660. We're also very excited to announce our new sponsor, Allen and Friends Custom Calls. With turkey season on everyone's mind, now is the time to order your custom-made calls from ANF. They offer V-cuts, combo cuts, and batwing cuts for all of your turkey calling needs. The best part, if you order today with our code WDP, you will pay $5 per call and receive free shipping. Order today on Instagram at ANF_custom calls or by email at ANFcustomcalls@gmail.com.
Welcome to episode 30 of the Whitetail Distraction Podcast. My name's Austin, and joining me in my basement until the Rack Shack's done with construction almost, Charles Headland. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. The Dirty 30.
The Dirty 30. I'm
We
excited
made it.
about it.
We're big time now.
We're big time now. Yeah.
Told you, every episode that ends in a 0, I'm going to get fired up.
I dig it. You know what? Just hold on. Ramble for a second. I'm going to do something awesome. I'm going to give you the Ric Flair. Woo! I didn't want to blow out the microphone.
That was impressive. He's fired up. I'm fired up. So last week, can't even talk with you. Last week, we announced our new sponsor, ANF Custom Calls, Allen and Friends Custom Calls.
That is correct.
And today, we brought to you guys Kyle Allen, the creator of Allen and Friends Custom Calls. Now, there's a funny play on the ANF Custom Calls name.
This is also true.
We found this out, and we really didn't. I mean, I didn't pick up on it at first, but Allegheny National Forest initials are ANF, which is where Kyle does the majority of his hunting, is the Allegheny National Forest. He has a camp up in Marionville, and he gets it done year in and year out. And just to come up with a name that represents him and make custom calls for the most affordable price out there is unbelievable. And I'm very proud of him. Kyle's a good friend of mine. We met in college, played baseball together, and we've, kept contact over the years. So, and that comes from him being a hunter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are the friendships, whenever you find another hunter, those are the ones that really stick.
I agree. I agree. He's a really good dude. He makes really good calls. Guys, just do us a huge favor. Go out there and support the people who support our podcast. It would do us a humongous favor. Mm-hmm. And while you're at it, doing us all these favors that we have to ask every week, go over to iTunes to give us a 5-star review. We would really appreciate it. We'll give you a hug. We'll give you a high five. We'll do whatever you want. Charles will give you a foot rub.
I'm pretty good at foot rubs, but I probably won't touch your feet. I like it to touch your feet.
Regardless, we would really appreciate it, and it really helps us out.
It does. It does a huge part for our podcast and the recognition and growth of our podcast. When you give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, anytime someone searches whitetail or, whitetail distraction, whatever, as soon as they type in whitetail, our name pumps up that list. The more we get ratings and reviews and the more people are talking about us. So that's why it's a huge deal for us to get those 5-star ratings. It takes literally half a second. You go on to the iTunes app on your phone if you have an iPhone, and you literally just click the 5-star. It's perfect. Please don't leave us a 1-star review. even if we suck. We're having fun, so back off.
So back off. But other than that, this is a really good episode. Kyle Allen, he's a really cool dude. So I hope you guys enjoy.
Yep, he's the turkey guru.
Let's get him on the phone.
All right, we have on the phone with us good buddy of mine, reigning from West Middlesex originally, Kyle Allen. What's going on, Kyle?
Oh, nothing much. Thanks for having me on, Chuck.
Yeah, no problem, man. We announced last episode that we had an exciting announcement coming up, and you were actually part of that exciting announcement. But we'll get to that later. So, let's get right into it. We have you on the podcast because you're a little bit of a turkey guru, and we're ate up by turkeys right now. I mean, Austin and I, we're fired up waiting for turkey season. So
You better believe it.
we're like, man, I got to get some turkey. We got to get a turkey guy on, and you're the first one that comes to mind when I think turkeys. So why don't we jump right into it? And I know I mentioned you were originally from West Middlesex, but why don't you go ahead and tell everybody where you're from and a little bit about yourself professionally?
Yeah, so right now, I'm from West Middlesex. Currently, I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kind of work brought me down here. I'd rather be out in the country, but here I am in the big city. I do broker-dealer compliance for a bank downtown here in Pittsburgh. But most of the weekends I spend are hunting up in the National Forest, and that's where I grew up hunting.
That's right.
Nice.
That's cool, man.
Nice. I dig that.
We do a little bit of that ourselves.
You know, usually when I think of bankers, I think of turkey callers, so.
The two are related. It has to be. So you do a lot of hunting in the big woods then.
That's right.
What do you think? How do you think that affects your hunting in general, or the way you approach your hunting?
Well, I think a lot of guys, more now than before, are, so to speak, trophy hunters. And to me, a trophy is anything I shoot, really. And especially up there, you could hunt for 3 days and not see a deer, and then a little 6-point comes past you, and you're excited as all hell, and you shoot it, and that's just as good as shooting a 140-inch deer on private property. I mean,
absolutely.
To me, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. I think with our experience up there, we can definitely agree with you there, especially when it comes to bucks. I mean, you're not far from us. You're in Marionville. Our camp's about 20 minutes, probably about from Marionville, but. Man, we know how tough it is hunting those big woods, and it's all public land, big tracks. It's tough. It's absolutely tough. But so let's go farther back. Let's bring it on back, and let's go back to how did you get into hunting, and how did you ultimately get into turkey hunting? Perfect.
So just getting into hunting, I mean, as far back as I can remember, I was probably, I want to say like 4 or 5 years old.
Sweet.
And I'd go hunting with my great grandpa, my grandpa, and my dad and my brother. We'd go up to the National Forest, and there were so many deer up there at the time. We would just build a fire. We would literally just sit there, eat lunch, and we'd have deer running everywhere. I remember this one time, my grandpa, I think it was my great grandpa. We're sitting around the fire. He shoots a deer. My brother and I go down. We drag it out. We bring it back up to the Jeep. We're sitting there. I can't remember who was my dad or my grandpa. They shoot a deer on the same exact spot. We go down, drag it out. And that's what hunting was to me. So I loved going hunting back then.
Mm-hmm.
And then, from there, I mean, I would go out turkey hunting with my dad. I don't ever remember my dad shooting a turkey in front of me when I was little, but I just loved going out in the woods.
Yeah. I dig that, man. I never got to do that when I was really, really young. I always wanted to, but I think my dad saw it more as a burden on the fact that what they did was a little too advanced for, 7, 8-year-old. And I don't know, maybe that was just selfish on his part. No, but for real, I mean, back then they weren't using the best of equipment and that kind of stuff, and going archery hunting was probably his biggest passion. And to try to take a 7 or 8-year-old archery hunting, that's not very easy to do.
Yeah, my dad was the same way. He would shoot a buck in archery season every year, and then we'd go up there and doe hunt. And
nice.
Of course, it was more about just getting us out in the woods than it was anything else.
Yep.
I remember one time he wakes me up before school and he says, "Hey, you want to go hunting?" And I was like, "Yeah." I think I was in middle school, I think, and my little brother was able to go too. So he took us we drove up to the camp, and we get out, we walk up the hill, and we weren't out of the truck for 10 minutes, and he shoots a doe. And I was like, Dad, I don't have to get back to school, do I? And he's like, no, you don't have to go back.
There you go. Good
And
way
that was
to.
it. We hunted for 10 minutes. He shoots a deer, and that was it.
Yeah, that's a good way to fall in love with hunting. I mean, not only do you get to experience something so great, but you also got to spend the whole day out of school. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
that worked out nice.
No, that's
Can't
awesome.
beat that.
That's cool, man. So you hunted a lot when you were younger. You and we met personally in college. We
Yeah.
were on the same baseball team at Westminster, and that's how we got to know each other. And we've become
Right.
pretty good friends since then. But we have not hunted together. I'm kind of disappointed. We need to get out and
I know.
do some hunting together, man.
Well, you don't make room in the tree for me. You hardly ever let me know when you're turkey hunting, so we never meet up.
I know. That's on me. I'll agree. Usually, good old Bud and I, we do most of the turkey hunting together, but
Yeah.
yeah, and we've been having some fun. But honestly, I've only really gotten into it over the last 3 or 4 years, turkey hunting more in the spring. And this fall is like the first time ever getting out and actually turkey hunting
In the fall.
in the fall.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I've been ate up with the bugs, so now I'm ready. I had to get some practice in, okay? I had to get to your level.
Yeah.
I wasn't to your level yet, so
Dude, if he's competition calling, I'm sorry to say, I still don't think you're to his level.
Probably not. But so what I did earlier by bringing up the big woods and bringing up Allegheny National Forest, I actually wanted to circle that around and bring up why we have you on today, because it relates directly to your new business venture name, ANF, basically Allegheny National Forest, except in this case it stands for
It's a dual purpose
Yes,
title.
dual
of our-
purpose.
of our business.
yeah, so it's actually Allen and Friends Custom Calls, which is pretty cool. I've been buying some turkey calls off you for the last few years, and now you're finally making it a whole business. So how's that been?
Yeah. A little stressful, just trying to get all the calls made. A one-man operation as far as building the calls, but I do have 2 business partners, Colton Riley and Zach Smith. They're going to be more of a social media and salesman for me.
Mm-hmm.
Distributors. I met those guys playing softball actually, and kind of all understood that we really love turkey hunting, and they tried my calls and they're like, hey, we could get these to some of our friends. And so I started making them for their friends. It kind of just took off from there.
Yeah, I can definitely vouch for them. I mean, they killed us some birds last year.
I was going to say, man, honestly, I listened to you calling last year quite a few times. I actually think you screwed me a little bit. I asked you to get me a couple calls from him, and you didn't. So I would have been using them last year too, Kyle, but you know.
That's what it's so hard to keep up with the amount of people that wanted them. And I was like, well, I better turn this into a business and make some money off of it, you know?
Oh, no, absolutely. No, I totally get it, because Chuckles, he called in quite a few turkeys with him last year, and they sounded great, man. I'm excited to get my hands on a couple this year.
I think Colton, one business partner, I think he said he called in 13 birds last year using them.
Wow.
I know I called in, I missed 3 birds and killed one, so that was 4 for me. And then I called one in for Zach, that was 5 for me.
Yeah.
And
what about
Zach,
like in the fall too? You're calling in the fall a little bit, aren't you?
Yeah, I use them in the fall.
So you got to add those stats in there.
Yeah, I didn't include any of the ghost reads in the original release we're going to do here this spring.
Nice.
The ghost read is more for the like the Kiki run. That's what I would use in the fall. So
Yeah.
look for that here, maybe this summer, early fall. But
Awesome.
yeah, that's the only call I use are the ones I make.
I can dig that. Yeah.
Well, let's get into that then. So you're coming out with the first run. You're going to do V cuts, a combo cut, and a bat wing cut to start. Is that correct?
Correct. And I'm going to do 2 different tensions. I'm making one tension a little looser for guys who don't blow as hard on the call. And then I'm doing a tight tension for guys that call like I do. I put a lot of pressure, and I think you get a little sharper sound, a little more front end on the call. So
Okay.
a little more realistic, but it's all personal preference. And I mean, you might get the call and it might feel really tight when you're blowing on it when you first get it out of the package,
Mm-hmm.
but give it 10, 15 minutes of consistent calling and it'll break in.
Oh, yeah.
You just got to be patient with it.
Okay, so if you had a more of a beginner caller, they would probably prefer the looser tension with, like, say, a double read V cut.
Correct.
Okay. which is probably where
the V cut, I would say, is the easiest call to control.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you're just going to get your basic rasp, and you're going to kill turkeys. And then I would say the hardest one to use would be the batwing. That's the one I would call in the competitions with. And that's kind of how I started making my own calls. Is I was getting tired of spending $10 or $15 on a call at the store, getting out of the package, and then I didn't like the way it sounded. So I was like, well, that stinks.
Yeah.
So I just bought a press and latex and frames, started making calls until I built one that sounded right, and then went from there.
That's crazy. Isn't it? Like, I just kind of want to like even back it up a second because it just kind of popped in my head. Like, how do you even get into like starting to make your own diaphragm calls and mouth calls? Like, I wouldn't even know where to start. How did you like figure out what everything you needed, the different kinds of latex, the different tape, all that fun stuff?
A lot of time on the internet.
Yeah.
But just Google, like, I found a turkey hunting forum and calling competition forum, and that's what almost all the guys in calling competitions are making their own call.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find someone, even the guys that say they're sponsored by calling companies, they're using their own calls that they built, and they're just slapping that company's name on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
it's no secret in the turkey calling business that's what's going on. But yeah, I mean, you can build a call yourself for the fraction of the price. You just got to figure out what tension you need, the back tension you need, the distance between the stacking of the latex. There's a lot that goes into it. I probably burned through, I would say, close to 60 or 80 calls before I even found one that sounded remotely right.
Oh man!
And then just kind of went off of that.
Okay. So how'd you
so a lot
test
of time
them?
invested.
Yeah, how'd you really test like the sound of them? Was that just all from what you knew from other calls that you used in the past, or what you preferred and you thought you sounded best from all your time out there?
Yeah, I mean, I would just go based off of what sounded right to me.
Mm-hmm.
What I would do is I would set my phone 10 or 15 yards away, go out and call, and then if I thought that sounded like a turkey, then I would kind of critique it off of that.
That's not a bad idea.
Or I'd go out in the woods and see what it sounds like in the woods. I think the biggest part for me was trying not to sound like another turkey caller, but just trying to sound like a turkey.
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys were trying to do that, where they were trying to sound like another caller that was really good, but you can't do that. You got to go off of what you think sounds like a turkey.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That sounds right. So you initially got into turkey calling competitions. How did you like find out where you were going to go for turkey calling, and how did you really get into the competitions in general? Like, did you just like turkey hunting and you're like, yeah, I'm going to go start calling competitively?
Well, I was probably like, I think I was like 13 years old. My dad and my mom bought me an HS Strut V-cut triple reed for Easter. It was in my Easter basket. And I spent the whole day out on the back deck just calling with that thing. And then my dad said, hey, that sounds pretty good. So then I just kept at it. And then one winter, we were hunting, and I saw one of our hunters. He didn't see me standing in the woods, and I had my turkey call. And then I started calling and messing with him.
Yeah.
And he thought there was a turkey over there. Well, then he figured out it was me. Well, he tells my dad, he said, hey, you should let Kyle call in some competitions. He would probably win the junior division. So I went to, we looked up where one would be. We looked online, and we saw one down at the Cabela's down in Wheeling, West Virginia. I think I was 14 years old. I went down there, and I was the only junior caller that called with a mouth call, and I ended up winning. That was the first competition I'd called in.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I forgot.
That's how I got into it.
Yeah. So I totally forgot you can use any form of calling in those competitions. So you can use a box call or a striker, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
You can use anything.
And you whooped them all with a mouth call. That's pretty impressive, man, especially at that age. It took me 25 years to learn how to use one. But that's little or no effort, so.
Yeah, and then after that, I had only one other competition after that, and then I had to move up into the open division with all the guys that call it Grand Nationals, and the best I ever finished was 6th. And then I haven't called in the past couple years, just been too busy.
Yeah. Anything you plan on getting back into?
The biggest problem for me is just I know I can call good, and then when I get up on stage, it's just nerves. Like, you can call good, but then when you get up there, your mouth's dry. It doesn't matter how good you sound, but when you get up there, you know what it's like when you get a turkey within 100 yards. You can't call, you choke on your mouth call.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what happens when you're up on stage. So I don't know. I mean, I'd like to, but if I can't control my nerves, I can't do it.
that's got to be tough. I mean, because for one thing, the hardest part when you get nervous is controlling your breathing.
Yeah, so, breathing, and if your mouth gets dry, it's game over. You can't make the call run right.
Right. That's insane.
So, Kyle, one thing I want to clear the air with this and get it out of the way, like right now. So, I feel like most people, including me sometimes, they don't take care of their turkey calls the way that they should, especially diaphragm calls. Now, I know I've ruined calls in the past by being out in the woods, forgetting about them, throwing them back in the case, and just, you go out.
Throw them in your vest, and you hang it up.
And then next thing you know, you need your call and it doesn't work. So, can you kind of go into how you take care of your calls and how you condition them and keep them the way that they should be so that every time you go and grab your call, it's like it's running perfectly?
Yeah. So what I do, there's many different logics behind why people do the things they do, but what works for me is as soon as I run my call, I throw it in my case, whatever, I'm done hunting, I come home and I'll grab the call out of the case again because I don't want the reeds to stick together. I'll run the call at home and then I'll pop it in the freezer. I don't put any toothpicks because I don't want to stretch the latex at all.
Right.
I want it to stay crisp. So I'll run the call so there's a little bit of, I guess you'd say, moisture, saliva between the reeds, and then I pop it in the freezer, and it's going to be exactly the way you left it when you pull it out of the freezer.
That's real interesting.
Say I'm somewhere where I don't have access to the freezer. Say I'm going down to southern Ohio and I'm going to sleep in my Jeep for 2 days, and I don't have a freezer. Then I'll put toothpicks in it just because I don't want the reeds to stick together.
Yeah.
And dry rot. So if you have access to a freezer, use that. But other than that, you can use a toothpick.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to get that out there because I know so many times I've gone in my turkey vest for the next season and I've been like, you know what, I didn't fix that call before I put it away, and now I need a new call for the season, or now I need to buy 2 or 3 more calls and whatnot. I just kind of wanted to get that out of the way. I feel like most people are kind of that way.
Honestly, you don't need to give up on that call. Even if they're stuck together, you could blow on it for 5 minutes or get it wet and put the call backwards in front of your mouth and blow in between the reeds, and you'll separate the reeds, and then that call will work fine.
Okay.
Huh.
I dig that.
So I actually did that this year because I forgot to take care of mine last year. But what I did is I got them wet, started to try to call on them a little bit just to get them a little moistured. And then I took a real flat, sharp toothpick, and I just slowly ran them in between those reeds to just kind of separate them and open them up.
Yeah.
And then when I finally got them open, then I put the toothpick in and put it in the fridge.
Yeah, I poked holes in the latex before doing that, and then I think, in my opinion, you're stretching the latex out doing that.
Okay. It was a surgical procedure for sure.
I bet.
I was definitely very cautious to not rip any of them on. And it didn't look visually stretched, but I'm sure I did. Like you said, I did some damage. But after I ran them after that, they were perfectly crisp and clear, and they ran just like they did last year when I put them away. So I was really pumped to not waste 4 calls that I bought off you.
Maybe paranoia on my part.
Oh no, I mean, I think it's definitely just that people need to take care of them, and I think you're right. People
it's something you don't think about, especially if you just shot a bird, you quick throw it in your vest, and you're just trying to get it out of your mouth and run up there and get the bird and everything, and you just forget about your all celebrations and high fives and stuff.
I've heard also.
I did that with my calls this fall. I threw them in my vest after I got done hunting. I threw my vest in my Jeep, and then when I went home, I threw my vest in my closet, and then I forget what I was doing. I pulled it out, and I said, well, I need a new call for the fall.
Yeah.
Hey, good thing you know a guy.
Because that was too far gone by that point. It was like 2 months, and I was like, well, that call's done.
Oh, yeah. See, that happened to me this year. That's what made me kind of think about it. I bought a couple of really good calls last year from Woodhaven, and they were expensive. They weren't like.
That's who I used before I started making my calls.
The Woodhavens? Yeah, they're great calls, but I paid good money for them, and then I left them in my vest. Didn't even think about it. Yeah. Oh yeah. And then I know this year it was kind of like Chuck said, I went, I got them out, and I was gonna try and pick them together and try and get the reeds separated, and I did exactly what you said. I put holes in the reeds, and then it was just like, nope, it's done. It's not even worth it.
It's a good thing I know a guy. And it worked out. So let's get into that, huh? So Kyle Allen from Allen and Friends Custom Calls will be our newest sponsor to the podcast.
Ruh-roh.
We are excited to announce that we will have you on, and we're pumped, man. Like I said, I've been running your calls, and now the guys here, they get a chance to run your calls, and it's going to be freaking awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm stoked.
So
I can't wait to see all the guys that get calls from me this year. We'll post all the pictures to our Instagram page, ANF_custom calls. That way we'll get our name out there and get some success stories out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like now that you're a sponsor, you definitely have to come out and do like a sponsored turkey hunt with us.
I'll do that.
Absolutely.
I don't even have to shoot. I'll just call.
I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah, or maybe I'll call for you and you can just shoot a bird.
No, that's cool, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I was sitting there. I was actually laying on my couch one night watching turkey videos, and I kept seeing, every time they'd blow a call, it would come up with the company's name, and I went, son of a bitch. Like a light bulb just went off. I've been running Kyle's calls now for 3-4 years. Why don't I get in contact with him and see if he'd want to do something? And it just so happened, as soon as I text you, you called me immediately. You didn't even text me back, and you were like, dude, I'm just starting an LLC. Like, I'm actually getting into this, and it was perfect timing on both our halves. So that was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like perfect timing.
Mm-hmm. So why don't you are also, I want to cover, you're in some stores, or you're going to be in some stores as well. Do you know, or can you share what stores you're going to be in?
We do have one store. It is out in Perry County, PA.
Okay.
It's going to be at Base Camp Outfitters in Newport.
Okay.
We're gonna start there. See how things go. We're hoping most of our sales this year are done online, but that's one store we're in this year. Base Camp Outfitters in Newport, PA.
I dig that.
Sweet.
So, if somebody wanted to get one of your calls, how would they go about doing that?
So for right now, we're going to have them contact us on our Instagram page. We also have our email, which is anfcustomcalls@gmail.com.
Nice.
And then we'll go over our payment, how we would get our payment, and get them sent out to you.
Awesome. Now, we've mentioned pricing a lot, and we haven't mentioned your pricing point yet. But, I mean, like we said, typical call, $10 to $15, that's not unheard of. But what are you pricing your calls at currently?
So what we're selling them at this year, we're starting out with, they're going to be $5 a call, plus tax and shipping.
Awesome.
But they do get a little discount from you, Chuck. You want to tell them about that?
Absolutely, I do. I was actually leading into that. Thank you. So we are going to have a discount code for the podcast. If you use the code capital WDP for Whitetail Distraction Podcast, when you order, just send it, hey, WDP, or I want this call, I heard about it on the Whitetail Distraction Podcast. You will receive your call for the $5, but you will get free shipping. So you're going to save yourself the shipping. You're going to pay $5 in the sales tax on it, and that's it. So you're still getting a super cheap call. Now you're saving on shipping if you order through us. So that's going to be really cool. I mean, there's going to be so many people that are going to order. I know a ton of people already, and I had guys last year that ordered through you. So I'm excited for it, man.
And these aren't cheap calls, guys. They are legit diaphragm calls. I mean, he makes them all different ways, and they just really sound good. I don't know if you want to hop on, Kyle, and really try and blow it through the mic and see how it goes.
Don't get all nervous and dry mouthed on us.
Well, that's what I'm trying not to do right now. Hold on, let me get this call.
Sip the beer, sip the beverage.
Let me know when you're ready, Sean.
Hey, we're ready, and I know what you did there.
Not too shabby, man.
Not too shabby at all.
I'm kind of glad I got it recorded now. I can just go out in the woods and just play that. I'm good to
go. Not in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So that's that Batwing triple read we were talking about, right?
Exactly. Yep. That's that call right there is 2 years old.
No kidding.
Wow.
That one I just used.
That's a pretty sounding call. I know that much.
Yeah,
So-
I'm definitely cool with it.
Let's get into our roots now, okay? I want to hear a good story from you. I want to hear either your favorite turkey story or your favorite hunting story or both.
I want to hear both.
I do want to hear both because I want to hear some stories. I want to get talking.
Oh boy,
So
favorite hunting story.
that's right. If you want to start there, if you got a good turkey
I think-
story.
I think favorite hunting story. I don't know. One that always pops into my head. I had shot a fall turkey, and I had shot my first bear,
Ooh, that's good.
and
year.
I hadn't gotten a buck yet, and I was hoping to get a Pennsylvania Grand Slam. I hadn't got one before. This was back in the 2013-2014 season, and I was up on it was the last day of rifle season, and I was up with my grandpa, just my grandpa and I hunting, and he would have been 74 or 75 years old back then. And we found a buck track. I mean, we didn't know it was a buck. We just found a big track in the snow. And I said, well, I'll take that track and you go over on the other road and I'll follow it. We'll see if one of us can get a shot at it. And I started on that track at like 9 in the morning. And then it turned out it was like 2 in the afternoon. I tracked it all day. And I think he just had caught a glimpse of it. I was pretty tired. I mean, I'm walking up and down these mountains all day through the treetops and what have you. And he goes, I come to this road and he's standing over there and I said, I don't think I can walk anymore. And he said, well, why don't you walk up the road? Go up to this certain road and you just stand down there. He said, just go down there about a couple hundred yards and just stand there. I said, all right. And, he takes the track and I swear to God, it was like 10 minutes and here comes this buck and it's coming right at me. Like right where he told me to go stand and it's just coming right at me. And it gets like 60 yards. I shoot and it goes right down. And I'm like, and that's part of like how I've been so successful up there is just having my dad and my grandpa always putting me in the right spots and showing me where to go. That was my first Grand Slam year. I ended up getting a spring turkey up there that year. And then, 2 years later, I got another Grand Slam up there. I got the fall turkey buck and a bear and a spring turkey. And now this year, I got my fall turkey. I shot my buck in archery season. I got a bear again, and I can get my spring turkey, which I think I just might. I'll have my third Grand Slam in the National Forest in 6 years.
Dude, that is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm going to need you to send me coordinates to that bear spot.
Well, they're not the same. They're all different.
Oh, man. You've shot 3 bears in Pennsylvania. That is super impressive, man, honestly.
Yeah, well, our group, we've killed 45 in the last 20 years. Most of the guys have 1 or 2. There's a handful of us with 3, and then I think one guy has 6.
Wow.
Holy crap, man. That is wild.
And you guys last year got the 780-pound bear that was taken out of Allegheny National Forest.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
That was your group. That was your group, huh?
Yeah, that was an adventure. To say the least.
That's unreal. I mean, 780 pounds.
I don't even know how you get that out. Like,
Well,
honestly, because you're
I
not allowed
can
to
tell you.
quarter them and stuff, I don't think, right?
He can tell you.
Oh, damn.
So I shot my bear. I had set up on this road, and I knew some guys were on a track, and I set up on this road, and I'm looking. I could see probably it wasn't really a road; it was a trail, like an old logging road. And I'm setting up. I'm set up, and I could see probably 200 yards down the hill. I could see probably 200 yards both directions down the trail, and I was like, you know what? I can't picture a bear coming through here. So I said, you know where I can picture a bear coming through? Is down that hill, probably 300 yards in those beech saplings.
Yeah.
Between the beech saplings and the creek. So I was like, well, if I go down there, I said, I'm going to stay down there the rest of the day. Well, I went down there and I was only standing there for probably 10 minutes in these beech saplings. And I could only probably see, I would say at the most 35 yards. And I felt like an idiot because I'm standing there with a 7mm with a 3x9 power scope and I can only shoot 35 yards. But I'm like, the bear's going to come through here. And I'm standing there and I hear this panting behind me. I hear, and here's the bear. It's 10 yards away. Shot it right in the chest. That was it. So I call on the radio, say I got it. Then the fun begins. We have to take this bear 400 yards up this mountainside. So we have a stretcher and about 10 guys. We hunt with a group of like 20 guys. And About 10 guys showed up to help me get it out after about an hour. It took us an hour to get that bear out. Well, meanwhile, while I got my bear, the guys that were tracking my bear headed back to their vehicle. On their way out, they saw that big bear and started shooting it. Well, that bear was, I think, a half a mile from the nearest road when they killed it.
Oh, good.
So then we just got my bear out, which weighed 218 pounds. Now we have this bear that's 780 pounds, and we got to figure out how we're going to get this bear out. So
Dude, that's literally
we
like the size of a grizzly.
Yeah, well, actually, that's funny because he's getting a full mount, and they're using a grizzly form to mount this bear.
That is intense.
I bet. They have
That's
to.
a seriously big bear. Like, if you told somebody you shot a 780-pound black bear, they're going to be like, you're full of shit. Like,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
On what high fence property?
We get this. We have someone. We weren't sure if we were allowed to quarter it up, so we had someone go back to the check station and ask the game commission, "Hey, can we quarter this thing up?" And they said, "Yeah, that's fine." And the game commission came out to where we had shot it and everything, and making sure everything was legit.
Mm-hmm.
And we couldn't move it. We didn't realize the bear was 780 pounds. We were saying like 500, 600. We were like, we knew it was big, but we didn't understand how big it was. We put that stretcher, the same stretcher we got my bear out with, we put it under, and four of us tried to pick it up, and we started bending the stretcher around the bear. So we're like, we stood it, and we honestly stood. He shot it. I want to say he shot it at like 130 or something like that. And we didn't even begin to like skin it. We started skinning it. We didn't start skinning it until like 3:30 because like we were just looking at it, trying to figure out how we're going to get it off this mountain. Because like there was all these rocks, all these beach saplings. There was no easy way out. So we skinned it. The hide and the head we had to string over a log, and 8 guys were on the log, 4 in the front, 4 in the back, and we were carrying it out. We could only go 20 yards, and we had to set it down. The hide and the head, I think, weighed 290 pounds or 300 pounds, something like that. Just the hide and the head. So then we had another guy go back to his camp. He got a chainsaw, and that's how we quartered it up. We had to quarter it up, and guys were carrying the legs out together, and it was I think we finally got it out at like between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. He had shot it at around 1:30. We didn't get the bear out of the woods until 9 o'clock.
Dude, that's like, I don't even, listen, I don't think you could even get that out if you had a 4-wheeler or something. I think it'd just be sitting there.
You wouldn't be able to move it.
Yeah. That is crazy.
And
then we woke up the next morning and shot another one.
Yeah. Why not? You know, we're doing it. Might as well just keep going, right?
Right.
Oh man. So you got 3 last year as a group total?
No, we got 4. We got one on the first day.
Okay.
And that's kind of how we had a discussion at my camp. My brother and I had set up on that first bear. We had a guy tracking it, and we set up, and we were like, oh yeah, we can see pretty good in the woods here. Like, we could both see probably 100 yards, but we were spaced out. There was probably 200 yards between us.
Okay.
And that bear, wouldn't you know it, crossed right where we both couldn't see, in the brush. So when we got back to the camp that night, we ended up killing that bear, but when we got back to the camp that night, we had this discussion, is you can't set up where you can see. Like, you have to set up where you think the bear is going to go. Like, you just have to go with what your gut's telling you. And so that's kind of how I set up where I set up the day I shot mine, and it worked.
Dang.
Wow.
See, that's total opposite of what I do. I go and exactly to where I can see, like, everywhere, and I'm like, yeah, if I see one, I can reach out and touch it somewhere, but yeah.
But no, it makes most sense. I mean, bear are going to find the most secure areas even when they're traveling.
Oh, definitely.
You know, so it definitely makes sense to get to somewhere where you can't see a long ways because you know a bear is going to try to sneak through that spot.
Yep.
Because he knows that security. And man, I can't believe it. I've never even, I mean, I've only bear hunted with a rifle once, ever. But in archery, I've seen them. And I probably saw about a 300-pound sow one time. And she looked ginormous. I could only imagine what a 780-pound bear would look like. Running through the woods.
When it ran, like, you could just see the fat shake.
Yeah.
Like, the whole, like, when he was skinning it, or when those guys were skinning it, I swear to God, there was 5 inches of fat on it.
That's
maybe
crazy.
More.
Yeah, you sent me those pictures. That was wild. Just to see the layers of fat on that thing. He'd been eating good. A lot of jelly donuts.
A lot of jelly donuts.
Yeah, I don't know what he was eating. It was crazy.
That's crazy. You know what's even more amazing? Like, Out of all the people that bear hunt and all the bears that get killed every year, that bear made it that long and it got that big in Pennsylvania. That's just absolutely crazy to me.
Blows my mind.
Yeah.
And you guys,
it's actually the full story is coming out in the Pennsylvania Game News
Sweet.
next month, or at the end of this month. The full story from the guy who shot it, Mike Rubio. He's going to have the full story out.
Awesome. I'll make sure to look for that.
Yeah, definitely.
That'll be a good read. But you guys got, what, 7 a year before that, right? There was one a year, I'm pretty sure you guys took home 7.
Not the year
or
that
9.
the year that I got my second bear, we killed 7. We got 5 on the last day.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It was crazy. We had guys running around like swapping guns because they were walking on a track and then they popped out and they didn't have a gun, and guys who had got bear would hand them their gun. Like, I shot my bear with a gun that wasn't mine because I gave my gun to my little brother who had never killed a bear, but he was walking the track and he needed a gun because there was another bear coming back this way. There were bears just running everywhere. It was mayhem.
Jeez. So what do you guys do if you don't get any snow up there? How do you track them then? Or do you just push?
So if we don't have snow, we'll just push thickets.
Okay.
Push treetops, thickets, and
Insane.
that's how we get them. We don't sit. I mean, we make it happen.
I mean, apparently you do if you shoot that many bears. Like,
so now going back to the Grand Slam, do you have to kill the fall turkey as part of the Grand Slam? Is it just spring gobbler, buck, and bear?
Well, let me ask you this, Chuck. When you hit a Grand Slam in baseball, how many runs do you score?
That's a great point. I mean, you are scoring all 4, and those
kind of
4.
Answer your question there.
Yeah.
You have to get the fall turkey, a buck, a bear, and a spring turkey.
That's impressive.
That's
impressive. But it helps killing fall turkeys when you have a turkey dog, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I had a little help this year.
We mentioned you on a previous podcast about your
did.
turkey dog, and everybody was like, what is a turkey dog? And I tried to explain it the best I can, but I think you could do a little better explaining who Lloyd is and what he does for you.
Yeah, so Lloyd comes from, he's an Appalachian turkey dog. He came from Carol Gathwright's bloodline down in Buckingham County, Virginia. He's a mix, and the bloodline is fairly new. I think it's only about 45 years old. But it's a mix between, I think, a Plott hound, a Walker hound, English setter, Irish setter, English pointer, and Gordon setter.
jeez.
And this guy he kind of formulated this breed over the years of a dog that would track turkeys and bark, and then the temperament to sit still while you call him back. So what Lloyd does, and when I shot my bird this year, my little brother had located a flock of turkeys, but they were too far away, and he didn't want to run down through the woods like a madman trying to break them up. And that's kind of how I wanted to get a dog. Is I got tired of running down through the woods and turkey shells and calls flying out of my pockets, and it's really not safe to run with a gun in your hand. So I got a dog that would do that for me. So we found this flock, and we knew where they had gone and where their scent was. And when Lloyd hit that scent, he went probably 200 yards. And I have a GPS collar, and I can see him on that collar. Well, a turkey dog, normally when he breaks the flock up, he'll bark. Well, Lloyd's only a puppy, and he hasn't started really barking when he breaks them up. He will sometimes, but he doesn't unless he sees them. But when I look at the GPS, I can see when he breaks a flock of turkeys up because he'll sit in the same spot and do a bunch of circles. Well, obviously those turkeys have flown, and they're no longer there, and he's checking for the scent. And I can tell when I look at my GPS that that's what he's done. So when I saw that he did that, my little brother Clay and we walked up there, and I see Lloyd up there, and I gave him some praise and stuff, good boy. And then I picked out where we were going to set up, and I have a camouflage burlap sack that I have for Lloyd to cover him up. He's a black dog, but I have an orange vest for him because if guys are hunting with rifles and shotguns, I don't want them to see a turkey run and then my dog chasing after them. And if he sees something black move, shoot him. So
Right.
Lloyd's got an orange vest. Well, when we set up, all I have to do is say lap. When I say the word lap, Lloyd will come over and he'll curl up in a ball and sit right between my legs. And then I'll cover him up in that burlap. And he'll sit still and he won't move until I tell him he can get up, or if the gun goes off. And I had never shot over top of him until when I killed mine. I called those birds in. They got about 30 yards away, and Lloyd didn't move a muscle. And I wasn't sure if Clay could see the birds yet, but the one hen had spotted me, and I was like, well, I got to shoot now. So I shoot, and I pick my gun up so I don't end up shooting Lloyd. Well, Lloyd flew out of that burlap, and he's looking around, and Clay shoots at one flying, and the one I had shot, I didn't mortally wound it. And Lloyd saw it and took off down through the woods after it, and he was the one that killed it.
That's insane.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool hunting with them. I mean, it's pretty rewarding, the amount of hours I had spent this summer training him from a pup. I got him when he was 7 weeks old, and I'd spent a lot of time with him, and yeah, it was pretty fun. It was a pretty cool experience when your game plan comes together.
Hell yeah.
All right, so I got so many questions right now. My mind is like blown because Charles, he kind of explained it to me a little bit, and he kind of, in essence, kind of told me that story that you just said. But like, my number one question is like, I've never heard of a turkey dog before, ever. Like, I don't think anybody's ever heard of that before. How did you hear about it, and then how did you go about finding a turkey dog? Because that, to me, for fall turkey, that's genius. Like,
honestly, you know, you asked about the building your own calls. It was a lot harder than that.
I can imagine.
A lot. I honestly had tried. I got on this list for this litter the year prior, and the female didn't take. And then just trying to find guys who had them, because there aren't very many people breeding these dogs. I mean, they're not very popular, as you know.
Right.
As you're finding out.
Yeah.
So, I belong to this. I think it's called the Turkey Dog Wild. I can't remember, American Turkey Dog Organization. Can't remember off the top of my head, but they post stuff on Facebook and or upcoming litters and stuff, and they also have a page online. And I saw that there had been a previous breeding. Well, I got a hold of this guy, Carol Gathright, and I saw he had a litter, and I asked him if he had any pups still available from this litter he had, and he said no, but I'll keep you in mind when I have another one. Well, he gets a hold of me last spring around April, and he said, hey, are you still interested in the dog? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, I have a female that's about to have pups here in the next week or so. I was like, I'll take one. And so then this female has pups, and, you know, he goes, I told him I wanted a dark colored male if possible. Well, he had three. He had a light colored male, like a tan colored female, and Lloyd, this black male. And he said, I got a black male here if you want him. I said, I'll take him. I said, let me know when to come get him. He said, come get him in 7 weeks. I said, okay. So I took a Friday off, and actually I didn't take a Friday off. After work, I drove down to Virginia, got a hotel, picked him up the next morning, and drove back. And it was a 6.5 hour drive, and I got my turkey dog.
That's awesome,
Wow.
dude. That is absolutely
Did you have
awesome.
a preference between male and female?
I don't know. I guess I wanted a male just so I didn't have to deal with the female being in heat and stuff. And if I wanted to breed them and get a pup eventually, I didn't have to worry about a whole litter. I just had to worry about one.
Good
Right.
call. Good call.
So I think that was why I chose a male over a female.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I got to see that dog work sometime.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Like, I just want to see him work. Like, even if you could just video that, I think it would blow people's minds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he really does work like a bird dog, but then, like, you can see the hound part kick in. Like, he'll stay close to me, and he'll stay probably, like, he'll be like 30 yards, then he'll be 100 yards, and then he'll come back and check in, and then he'll go back out to, like, 80 yards, check in. But then when he hits the scent, like, you can tell on the GPS, and I have a notification to let me know when he gets to 150 yards, because if he goes to 150 yards, I know he's on the scent. And then I'll stop and I'll listen to see if he's going to bark, or if I see him start circling on the GPS.
Oh man, like I feel like you have a vest on him. You got an orange vest on him. I feel like you need to mount like a GoPro to that vest and actually watch him like break up the flock. Like I think that would be
That'd be
absolutely
cool.
wild.
Yeah, that would be cool.
We might have to make this happen.
I think so.
We're gonna have to get together next fall. Get a camera on that dog. Get out there and just film you do your thing.
I kind of want to film you do like the whole thing.
I think.
Well, I actually had Chad Claycomb. He has his Claycomb Outdoors. He came up, and we didn't get anything. The weather didn't really cooperate, but we broke a few flocks up. We never get one. He came up and filmed this fall. He came up. My one of my good friends, Dylan Mild. He has a dog from a different bloodline. He has a female, and we hunted together for a week, and we did out of that week we did get, I want to say, 2 birds my dad had killed one, and another guy killed one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you
Nothing
posted.
on film, but
Yeah, you posted 2 of them. I'm pretty sure. That was impressive.
that
I was, yeah, so I've been following you on, and I've been seeing the dog and seeing the progress and seeing you rewarded with a kill this year. And man, that's got to feel like $1 million. Like you said, you put in all the hard work, and then you finally came through and you got one yourself. You got to be proud of that little pup.
the first one over top of him was me, which I thought was pretty cool. Like my dad had killed one, but Lloyd wasn't sitting with him when he shot it.
Yeah.
But the first one that Lloyd got to see the gun go off, hear the gun go off, and see the turkey, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
That is awesome, man. That's absolutely crazy. I can't even fathom that, because I've seen bird dogs work so many times, just really watching them, really good bird dogs, and like, it blows my mind watching them do that. I mean, I can't even imagine a turkey dog. Like, that's crazy.
If we're sitting here at home, all I have to do is say, "Where's the turkey?" and he'll go nuts, and he'll check all the windows. And he's like, "I know there's a turkey somewhere."
He's like a beagle.
He wants to work, man. That's good.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
He's funny.
That's awesome. So let's kind of wrap things up here.
Wait. Don't wrap it up yet.
I'm not wrapping up. I wanted the favorite turkey story.
Okay. I got a different one after that, too. Okay, so that's good.
Do you have something you want to get to first, Austin?
No, go ahead. Go for the turkey story.
Right.
I like that, too.
I want to hear your favorite turkey
You get
story.
to it first, because I don't know. I got to think of my favorite turkey story, because I got a bunch of turkey stories. Actually, I have a good turkey story.
All right, there we go.
I have a really good turkey story. This was 2015. I get into this spot up in the National Forest, and I'm there well before daybreak, and I didn't know exactly where these turkeys were. I knew there were turkeys up in there because my grandpa had told me he saw some tracks on the road, and so I park at the gate and I go back this road, and I'm listening, and I hear a gobble, and it was really far away. It was probably, I would say, like 600 yards away. But it's so quiet up there. I mean, you can hear that far.
Oh yeah.
So I just start walking that way, and I keep getting closer, and then I can tell where he's at. By the time I got to him, he was on the ground. So I start calling to this bird, and he does his normal thing where he'll gobble and he'll answer, but he's not going to move. He's just going to stand in this one spot and strut. So I said, you know what? I'm going to give you like an hour. I'm just going to shut up, and I'm just going to sit here. And when you get excited again, I'll start calling. So I sat there, and I hear a gobble. Now it's the same bird, but he like moved off like 300 yards to like my 3 o'clock. So I loop around down onto this road. A lot of the birds I kill up there, they just come right up those gas well roads. You just set up on the gas well road. It's a dirt road. You just set right up on it.
Right.
And shoot them. So I'm set up on this road, and this bird answers every call, and he comes walking up with a jake, a hen, and himself. And I shoot him at like 15 yards.
Jeez.
And I was pretty excited because like my game plan worked. I was going to shut up and wait till he got excited.
Right.
I did. I was excited, And it was a pretty decent bird. It had like a 10 1/4 inch beard, probably inch spurs, Decent
Real
mountain
good.
bird.
Yeah, real good bird.
So I'm walking out to my car, and I get out there, and there's this guy sitting out there on his tailgate, and I'm like, all right. And I said, oh, good morning. And he said, oh, it's a pretty nice one. And I said, yeah. And he goes, oh, it's pretty easy when you get in front of a guy calling him in. And I'm like, I didn't even know how to respond, because I was like, shit, did I walk in front of that guy on the road and he not say anything? Like, I was like everything was going through my mind, like, this guy, I just cut this guy off. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he said, I was set up over in that field in that food plot, and I was calling that bird in, and you went right down where that hen was calling, and you shot. And I'm like, my mind's going like 1,000 miles an hour. I'm trying to figure out what this guy's talking about, because I didn't hear him calling.
Right. That's what I mean.
I didn't hear a hen calling, and I'm like, and then I pieced it together. I'm like, oh, you heard me calling, and you thought I was the hen. Well, I didn't say that. I said, well, did you hear me calling? And he said, no, you never called.
There you go.
That's them. That's them ANF custom calls
and
right
I grabbed
there.
my mouth call, and I started calling, and this guy wouldn't let it go. He's like, no. He's like, you cut me off. And I'm like, dude, I didn't cut you off. I've been hunting here all morning. And like, I was getting into it with this guy. I just shot this freaking turkey. I'm hunting public land. I shoot this turkey, and this guy's bitching at me because I cut him off. I'm like, dude, you were sitting in this field with decoys.
Yeah.
I said, you was 200 yards from this bird. Oh man, it was so funny. I was like, this guy's losing his mind.
Oh man, you gotta love. You gotta love it up here, man. You gotta love public land in Pennsylvania. That's just what you get, you know. You're gonna have guys that aren't happy for your success, and you know, they want to sit on the edge of a field all day with decoys and call all day long, and then whenever they finally hear a bird talking and someone else shoots it, they say you cut them off. Meanwhile, you're the one that made a stalk on a bird from 600 plus yards away, you know.
Yeah.
And you never even heard that guy. You did everything right.
I didn't see his decoys, didn't hear him call.
Right.
And it was like, I'm like, this guy's out of his mind. It was pretty funny. And then another time, I actually have two funny stories where other head running guys.
Dude, we're all about the stories. Yep. Lay them down, man.
Yeah, they're coming out now. I go into this spot, and it was kind of late in the season, and I was like, no one's going to be back in here. No one was parked at the gate or anything. And I hear this bird. Actually, I walked all the way to the back, and I didn't hear anything. On my way out, I hear this bird. And it's down over this hill. So I set up, of course, on that Gaswell Road, and I'm calling. Well, there's a bend in the road. So I have myself set up. So when this bird comes up this hill, he's going to come up onto the road, and then he's going to have to come around the bend, and I'm going to be waiting there like 15 yards away. And I'm going to plow him. Well, I hear him gobble, and like you can hear that rattle in the throat. I'm like, he's like 25 yards away, getting ready to come up onto this hill, or up onto this road from the hill. And when he steps up on the road, I hear this gunshot, and all these babies come flying and hitting the trees that are right beside me. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, I thought I was killing this bird. Well, here, this guy shoots it. He set up, the bird comes out between me and this guy. This guy came in hunting behind me and shot right at me. Thought I was a turkey.
Oh, dude.
Oh, my gosh.
He's like, he shoots, and this bird goes flopping down the mountain. And I just yelled to him. I was like, hey, I'm a hunter over here. And you know, he started freaking out. He was all shook up because he didn't know. He thought I was a turkey. And I'm like, you better just go get your turkey before it goes down to the bottom of the mountain.
Dude, that's the video from like the hunter's education program.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, well, I didn't know. He said, I saw you park here, but I didn't figure that was you calling. And I'm like, well, you better figure that next time.
Yeah, dude, you shoot at me again, you're going to have problems.
Yeah, you'd think if you at least look, and if you didn't see a bird out there, I mean, check your background. You know, it only makes sense. But, man, that's wild.
I guess that's the downside to sounding decent with the mouth calls. You might get shot at or accused or...
Yeah.
Dude, I take it back. I don't want your calls anymore.
Yeah, I really don't want shot at. That actually, that happened to Bud last year. We were out turkey hunting. Actually, it was one of the times he went out with his dad, Junior, and they were calling in this bird and working this bird and creeping up to him, and all it had to do was crest this hill. Well, here they see this guy jump out of his truck, run across the wide open field, and jump into a fence line and try cutting them off. I mean, literally cut right in front of them both.
Yeah.
And the bird walks like right by him. The guy doesn't even take the shot, and then he ends up spooking him away. And they shook it off. They're like, whatever, it's fine. You know, it's private land, but this guy's on his piece of the private land. So they start working another bird. And another bird's coming in. Same thing. This guy had left by now. Well, he must have lived nearby. He could hear the turkeys gobbling. Next thing you know, you see him fly up in his truck, jump out, run across the field, and scare all the birds away again. Well, now Bud's all hot-headed. He runs down there, starts screaming at the guy. He's like, what are you talking about? I've been here all morning. He's like, man, I just saw you get out of your truck twice and run across that field, and you spooked the birds both times. Like, you have no idea what you're doing.
Oh, my God.
Oh, it was so funny. He was telling me that story. I'm like, man, that's just what you get. It's private land even here. It doesn't matter. Public, private.
Oh, it's all over the place.
You're going to have bird hunters.
I mean, I don't mind. I mean, I don't even mind when guys come in hunting behind me because, I mean, they have just as much right to be there as I do, but just don't shoot at me. That's all I ask. Don't shoot at me.
Don't shoot at me. Oh, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, Kyle, we are getting closer to time here, but since this is technically a deer hunting podcast, I want to hear your favorite deer hunting story.
Favorite deer hunting story? Other than the one I told, let me think here.
Maybe it was even your first deer. It doesn't have to be your favorite. Maybe it was your first deer. It could be a doe. It could be anything. I'm not...
Oh, yeah, first deer. I don't know, that one's easy. That was up in the National Forest. I hunted all day with the dad and my grandpa, they were putting on little drives for us. I'd stand with one of them, or and one of them would come up through the brush or whatever. And then it was sometime in the afternoon. I don't remember how late, but my dad was going to come through this old tornado area up there, and my grandpa and my dad drops us off, and we drop my dad off. We go up and park, and then he was going to come up through whenever we got ready. We would let him know on the radio. We walk up into the woods, and I get all loaded up and stuff. We walk up into the woods, and my grandpa looks down the hill, and he goes, "Hey, Kyle, there's a few deer down there." And I said, "Where?" And he goes, "Right down there." And they were like 100 yards. I pull up, I shoot, and they take off running. We didn't know what went on, we go down there, there's some blood, we tracked it for like, I want to say 400 yards, and we find it laying there, and I was so scared. I was 12 years old. I was like, I don't want to finish it off, So I had to give my dad the gun, and he shot it in the head, and that was it. That was my first deer.
That's wild, dude.
I shot my first deer right in the head.
I want to say I was with my grandpa on a lot of my first kills, I was my first spring gobbler kill. Was before school. He took me out. My dad was working midnight turn at the mill, and I wanted to go turkey hunting. My grandpa took me out, and this bird, it was a 3-year-old, and it wouldn't, it was kind of bullheaded. It wouldn't really answer calls and stuff. So we set up on the edge of this field, and we knew where he was going to come out. And when he came out to the edge of the pasture, I had my gun on my lap, and I had to wait until he got behind a tree, picked the gun up, and 15 yards away, I got him.
That's awesome, man. There's something to be said for that too. Like going out and hunting with your grandpa, especially like your first turkey and stuff like that. That's so cool. My grandpa's the one who got me into turkey hunting. We never killed a bird together, obviously, but it was just fun, man.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun hunting with him. He can't hear so well, so in the fall he can't hear him whistle, and I'm like, I called in a bird last year. It came up to like 30 yards, and he's looking one way, and I'm like, why aren't you going to shoot that? I just said it out loud while the bird's standing there. I said, "Are you going to shoot that turkey?" And he's like, "What?" He never heard of it. He still bear hunts with us. He'll go on drives.
That's
He's
awesome.
78 years old and still hunt.
That's awesome, man. Speaking of not hearing very well, I don't hear very well myself. So you got like Charles over here. He's probably going to do the same thing. Hey, you going to shoot that turkey or what?
This guy, and I was thinking about this today. As funny as you mentioned that, Austin. We hunt some of his spots, so he leads us in. Well, he's walking in, and say you see a bird on the roost, and you give a little psst, psst, and you're trying to be quiet. He don't hear. He just keeps dropping through the woods.
So here's what we're going to do from now on. We're going to tie some paracord around my waist.
That was my plan.
And when we're walking in, you give me a little yank, and then I'm good.
We're going to either give him hearing aids, or we're going to tie a rope around him so we can yank on him whenever we see something or hear something to stop his ass. Because he'll stop and try to listen. He'll just keep walking.
Well, here's the thing. I can hear. I just don't hear super good. That's the problem. When a little psst, psst comes off, I don't hear it, obviously. But last year, we're walking into a spot. I have Anthony with me behind me. And I'm walking in, and it's just before gray light. It's still dark out, but it's enough that you can kind of see like the sky a little bit in the backdrop. And he was trying to get a hold of me, but I couldn't hear him for some reason, probably because I was wearing earplugs. But no, and he ended up tapping me on the shoulder, and he just pointed. He's like, "Look up." And I look, and there's like 15 birds in the roost right there. I was like, oh my God, I knew they were roosted down here. I didn't even see them. So that was always fun, So pretty much Chuck and Anthony, now they make fun of my hearing. So,
It's horrible. I'm like, do you at least have one good ear? No, they're both equally
both shot.
bad.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. So, all right, Kyle, before we let you go, buddy, we got to give you at least a few quick fire. So we're going to ask you a question. You just give a quick response. It can be, short response. If you want to get into it, go ahead. But first and foremost, what is your best advice for a new turkey hunter?
Ooh, I like that.
I would say don't be afraid to bump a turkey. Get as close as you can, and the closer you can get, the better chance you have of getting them called in.
Okay. And now I actually want to comment on that because I like that point. So here's a good question. Say you're a new turkey hunter, you hear a turkey gobble off, you're calling, you can hear them about 100, 150 yards away, and they just keep gobbling, but they're not getting any closer. I see a lot of mistakes people make. As soon as they hear bird gobble, they set up right then and there. What do you prefer if you hear them and you know they're, say 200 yards and you know the terrain?
If I know the terrain, if I hear a couple hundred yards, I'll just start walking towards the turkey. I mean, at that point, I'll make another call, and if you could tell the turkey's coming towards you, then at that point you can set up, and then you stop and you call from there. Other than that, I try to get as close as I can. If I know it's a bird that's going to hang up and stay in one spot, then sorry, Lloyd's messing with me right now. I don't think you can hear him. If I know the bird's going to hang up, then I'll try to get as close as I can, and I'll bump a lot of turkeys doing that, but he's not going to come in otherwise. So if you can get within that little bubble that he's comfortable with, he might come take a peek, and you could get him.
Awesome advice. My second question is, what is your favorite hunting tradition?
Favorite hunting tradition?
Yeah,
I would say is bear camp.
Nice.
That's the tradition that I think I'll probably do for the rest of my life, is take that three days before Thanksgiving and go up there with my brothers and my dad, and for my grandpa as long as he's alive, and all my family and friends, and that's something we're going to do every year, and it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. That was a super solid answer, man. What would be, so for a turkey hunter, what would be, in your opinion, the most useful piece of gear that somebody could have?
Your shotgun?
That's a good one. Yeah. That was good. I wasn't expecting that, but that was
outside of the obvious shotgun, choke. Well, first off, what load are you running?
I shoot Remington Premier Magnum. I think they're 2 1/4 ounce, 3.5 inch.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay, and then now
I use number fours.
That's what I use too. I'm a big fan of 4s.
Okay. So what do you think then, outside of the gun and the ammo, what do you think is the best thing someone can have with them when they're turkey hunting?
Yeah, I could have phrased that a little bit better than I did.
Come back with that, Chuck. You kind of cut out on me there.
Sorry, I was saying outside of the obvious where you have the gun, your ammo, what other best piece of equipment can they have with them on a new turkey hunt?
Well, if you don't know the terrain, always knowing where the turkey's at. So I'll use my phone a lot too. Like if I'm not familiar with the area, like I'll kind of look and see what the landscape is. I'll look at like Google Earth or whatever and kind of see if it's like a slope, or you kind of want to put yourself where you think the turkey's more willing to walk than not. So like if I'm set up downhill from them, I'll try to get up on the next bench to try to get up to them, and they'll be more inclined to come in. I always try to set up, and that's kind of where the GPS comes into play, is I always want to set up where it's the easiest way for the turkey to get and the most willing he's going to be. The most willing way for him to come in.
Nice. That's super solid. And the last question. So if someone wanted to get started turkey hunting, they have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea how to call turkey or locate turkey or anything like that. From start to go, I mean, really simple. I mean, you don't have to make it very detailed or anything. How would you suggest somebody go about starting turkey hunting from start to finish?
So I think why I love turkey hunting, and it's my favorite thing to hunt, is you can go have fun with turkeys and you don't even have to kill them.
Yeah.
So when I was a teenager, my dad used to drop me off in the woods, and he'd come back and pick me up. I'd tell him, come back and pick me up at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I would sit there and I would call those birds in, like I'd start in March, and I would just call them in, and that's kind of how I got to see what they'd answer to, when to shut up calling, when to call. That's kind of how I figured out how to turkey hunt, was not even hunting. It was just spending time in the woods in the spring and calling them in. Now, a lot of guys will say, well, you're educating that bird. Well, backstory to this one bird I had killed, it was one of the biggest ones I ever killed. I called him in 3 times before the season and shot him on the youth hunt. So, I mean,
yeah.
It's a very debated subject, but I mean, to each their own. But that's kind of how I learned to turkey hunt, was going out not turkey hunting and learning the bird's behavior and what they like, what they don't like, where they're what they're willing to walk through, what they're not willing to walk through to get to you. You know, do they want to go uphill? Do they want to go downhill?
Yeah.
That's a tip I would say, is just spending time calling to them in the woods.
No, that's super solid advice, and I couldn't agree more. Just actually getting out there and learning how the birds work.
Yeah. I wish I had done that instead of making the excuse that I didn't know how to call and then stay out of the woods, because I'd always wait for someone else to go with. And then finally I said, why am I doing this when I can just put a mouth call in and say, enough is enough, watch enough YouTube videos and learn how to call. and that's what I eventually did, and it's worked out pretty decent for me. But
Yeah.
so let's wrap things up. So, being our newest sponsor, we're very happy to have you.
Yes, we are.
Very excited.
We're really excited for this opportunity, and I want you to let everybody know where they can find you.
So we just opened up our Instagram page. It's ANF_custom calls. And then on there, we also have our email account, anfcustomcalls@gmail.com.
Awesome.
You can send us a message on either, and we'll get a hold of you, and we'll get the call you want. If we don't have something you want, I'll make it as best as I can or close as I can to what you want.
Right. And you don't really need to know what you want. You can just say, hey, I'm a new caller. I don't really know what I want. I don't know the cuts. I don't know the stretches, the tension. Can you make me something that'll work for me? And that's what I told you, basically. I was just like, hey, I'm not a real good caller. I'm not real experienced. Give me something basic. You're like, I got it. And you sent me calls and I can run them. So obviously you can take from little to no guidance to the very specifics and make something amazing out of it.
Right.
You do a very good job at that. So I will give you credit for that. So, all right, man. Cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I definitely enjoyed the time talking with you and catching up because we haven't been able to talk for a while. But why don't you?
No, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
No problem, man.
Kyle Allen of ANF Custom Calls. That guy is awesome.
Kyle's the boy, cowboy. He's the man. I mean, he is. And, I never got into the details and specifics of turkey hunting with him.
No, I'm going to save that for another episode.
Yeah.
There were so many other things I could have asked him, and we were just kind of rambling this episode. It was a little bit all over the place, but we were excited. And I don't know what to tell you. It is what it is.
Yeah, but even what we got out of him, was more than I expected. And it really goes to play on his knowledge of turkey hunting.
Oh, absolutely.
The guy's done it a ton.
Oh, totally. He told some great stories.
He did.
That's
He's
what this is
full of
all
them.
about. We want to hear stories when we talk to good hunters.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cool product. I mean, I'm super excited to get a couple of those calls in my hand.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I've been running these calls, no joke, for 3-4 years now, and I love them. If I can make the calls sound good, anybody out there can make the calls sound good because I am just literally the most newbie of newbies when it comes to mouth calling.
Hey, it's all right, man. I heard you calling on it last year, and I was like, man, I need to get a couple of those. And I threw you under the bus to Kyle.
did.
But you know what? I'm not sad about it. I wanted one of those calls pretty bad. So,
I'm a busy guy, I don't know. Last spring was a pretty busy time for me. It's usually tax season.
You were busy killing turkeys.
I started a new job.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay.
I can't blame you.
apologize. This year, I brought him in as a sponsor, and you're going to get your call. So I'm trying to make up for it. I apologize. Now let's go kill some birds.
Let's go kill some birds. I'll give you a hug later. It'll be okay.
It'll be good. We're still friends.
We're still friends.
I hope.
Oh, we are. We are.
So, guys, if you want to order the calls, again, we talked about it in the episode, but go on to ANF_custom calls on Instagram or give them an email at anfcustomcalls@gmail.com. And do not forget to use our code WDP. That will get you the $5 for the call and free shipping.
Guys, listen. You can go to Walmart right now and get a cheap, shitty-ass call off the shelf. And it sounds terrible. It's going to taste terrible when you put it in your mouth. Nothing good comes from buying a stupid little $6 or $7 call from Walmart or Kmart or wherever the hell you're going to go and find those, okay? You can go on to a lot of custom turkey call sites, and you're going to spend $15 to $20 for a premium diaphragm call. Kyle is kicking out premium diaphragm calls for you guys for $5.
You can't even really get a $5 footlong for that price anymore.
You can't even get a $5 footlong for that price anymore. Honestly, go out. It's $5, guys. Order one of his calls. Give it a try. I promise you, you will order another one.
And I'll be honest, order as many as you can this year because while they're $5 and he's kicking out great calls, they're going to last you. In the episode, he played on a call. He blew on a call that was 2 years old, right?
Yeah, and then, you know what? It sounds good on there. It doesn't sound perfect because you're not standing there with him. He's blowing it into a phone. It is what it is, and it still sounds good. So
it did. It sounded great on our end. We're listening through headphones, so it sounds really good to us. I hope it comes through clear with you guys, but other than that, I can attest for him. We killed 3 birds last spring.
Yeah.
I was a part of every one of those birds killed. I had one of his calls in my mouth nonstop the whole time.
Yep. I couldn't agree more, man.
The proof is in the pudding, man.
The proof is in the pudding. You listen, we've said it before, we're gonna say it again. Risk it for the biscuit. Go out there, spend $5, get yourself a premium diaphragm call of your choosing. He does all different kinds of styles and brands and everything like that. Not brands, but you know what I mean.
Listen, we're going to have to get a hold of Clint Campbell because he keeps using that on his podcast after our episode. He's going to have to speak to our attorneys.
I don't know what we're talking about.
The risk it for the biscuit.
Oh, well, yeah, whatever. It was on his episode that we started talking about. So, either way.
Clint Campbell, I'm just kidding, man.
Yeah, I love that dude.
Yeah.
But anyway, people, run over to iTunes, give us the 5-star review. Run over to Instagram, give us a like, say hey. Run over to Facebook, give us a like, say hey. Run over to Go Wild, give us a like, say hey. Send me an email, say hey. I'll give you a high five 5 times for all those.
Subscribe to our podcast. Give us a listen week in, week out. Let us know what you want to hear. Okay, we're here for you guys. We're going to start getting into some more local people with really good stories, and we're also going to bring you some really good episodes coming down. So,
yep, I couldn't agree more. Let's end it there.
Let's end it there.
Distraction's real.
The distraction is real.